The main trends in the humanitarian sector today are that humanitarian needs, the number of people with a right to humanitarian assistance, is going up steeply, but unfortunately the capacity of the traditional humanitarian community to respond to these needs is not keeping pace with that growth. That's the bad news. The good news is that in some parts of the world there is an increasing national and local capacity to respond to humanitarian needs. And so I think it's for the traditional sector to respond to this. The other challenges, I think, within the sector, it is the number and the nature of actors who describe themselves as humanitarian is increasing rapidly, both in terms of southern organizations, those from the private sector, and in some cases, even some armed actors are describing themselves as having some sort of humanitarian mission. And so this is giving huge challenges in terms of the nature and quality of response that people receive. The final positive trend I would identify is, I think, an increased voice of those who are in need of humanitarian assistance. Part of this as a result of the increase in social media, mobile technology, and so on, which means that many people are in a place to assert their rights much more strongly, which I think we should only see as a very positive trend. Well, I would go back to simply scale. I think the scale of the challenge of the humanitarian endeavour is growing rapidly, and I think that if we carry on thinking in the same way and simply trying to make the current system that we have work harder, then it's not going to deliver what people have a right to. I think as well, ensuring a consistency of quality of response is also extremely difficult. That's partly because access both by people in need of assistance to help and access by those who offer help to those who need it is in many cases becoming even more difficult. I think the motivation of the sector is being challenged in some places, and I think we really need to look at this as a whole, not just how do we support people when very sadly they reach crisis point, but also how do we maintain a long-term relationship with people who are in very volatile and vulnerable areas so that we can support them to manage and to mitigate the impact of crises and also to recover from them more quickly. So I think we are faced with challenges such as we've never faced before. I think that the trends that we are seeing today of growth in need, diversity of actors, and so on, I think that will only increase. I think the key drivers and enablers for that growth are there. I think that some of those trends will be very positive. I think in some places we will continue to see growth in the strength and capacity of southern actors and host governments. But I think we will also see an increasing level of challenge to our overall humanitarian principles and humanitarian endeavour. And so I hope to see that those who adhere to humanitarian principles grow in number, and that we are able to describe what we do and resource what we do much more strongly and clearly, and so that I really hope that in 10 years' time, if I am that woman who has lost her home in a huge cyclone, or who finds herself taking what I can carry and crossing a border because of conflict somewhere else, I hope that whatever help is offered to me is done only in the spirit of humanity, independence and impartiality, and that whoever it is who offers that, the quality of what I receive will be the same and will be high and accountable. The Sphere Project has a great opportunity to channel that commitment to rights and quality, which defines true humanitarian principles in the humanitarian sector. And so I think the Sphere Project has a real opportunity to perhaps simplify and describe the nature and the quality of humanitarian assistance that people have a right to.